Hey, what's good, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic West podcast. It is episode 24. It's your boy HSR, and joining me tonight.
No, it's your boy Chris Chrome.
And your lady friend Bonnie.
All right, this album has a lot of songs, so let's jump to it. Chris, tell us what the fuck it is.
So for this week's album, we decided to go with Deltron 3030 and their album Deltron 3030.
And this motherfucker came out October 17th, 2000, beginning of the millennium.
Yeah.
Crazily enough, that same year, our boy Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who happens to be part of the Deltron squad, did that classic Gorillaz jam, Clint Eastwood. And funnily enough, we may have a little feature from our boy Damon over from the Gorillaz on this album also.
Exactly.
And I was just trying to be like Bonnie. That's how I feel like she tends to start these things off.
Yep.
I wanted to show that I could research shit too.
There you go. Look
Good
at him
job.
teaching these boys something.
Yeah.
So speaking of research, what did you research about them today, Bonnie?
Well, not so much. I mean, I feel like these guys like try to like lay low a lot of the time, and like they don't really like do that many like interviews and stuff. And so like what I was finding like was like they're so awkward in like any of the interviews I saw. Like Del just kind of hides and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really get too much out of this. And I found like somewhere I saw that he was on LSD for most of like the recording or the writing or something for this album.
A lot.
But then like when I was like trying to search for that, I couldn't find anything to actually prove whether that was true or not.
He definitely is a fan of the Chronic, so we know that much. But yeah, so Deltron 3030 is not just Del the Funky Homo Sapien. He's also accompanied by Kid Koala, who actually got famous, as I understand it, while at McGill in Montreal. So represent. And one of my colleagues has been trying to get me to listen to something Kid Koala's, just anything he's done for ages. So accomplished two things for me, at least, with this album review. And then there's Dan the Automator, who produced it as well.
Yeah.
And Kid Koala DJs and whatnot, and has a whole bunch of other stuff out there. So all of these guys each have their own like independent careers going on. So it's almost like this is a super group, as I understand the term.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want to thank Lindell for the recommendation.
Yeah, thanks.
That's we're here with that. When did you discover any of these people?
As of last week.
Fair enough.
To be fair, I didn't even know they came out in 2000. I've never heard of them, and that's it. Like I just don't know. First time.
And you?
Well, I mean, I didn't know when I heard like the name of the album or anything, but then when I realized that he was like the rapper from the Gorillaz songs, then I was like, oh, I'm like, that's cool. I didn't know that he had his own albums, so I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, and I've known the Gorillaz since
they came out.
Probably since they came out.
Yeah. I actually know Del the Funky Homo Sapien a bit more than that. There was this song that appeared in one of the Tony Hawk games called If You Must, which is about kind of like if you don't wear deodorant, wash yourself, clean up if you must. It was a very comedic song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I kind of got a couple of tastes here and there, again, from the Gorillaz. And he played the ghost character, as I understand it, in the early parts of the career. Like, if you look at the Gorillaz page, he's a past member of the group, actually. Or at least his character was. So, internet, correct if I'm wrong or whatever. Do your thing. I just looked at Wiki. I was curious.
I do have one last one little tidbit of information. Del is actually Ice Cube's cousin.
Really?
Yeah, and he's from
Oakland.
Oakland. There we go, in California. And so I guess like maybe that's how like he kind of got famous. Maybe Ice hooked him up
for them for a while, as I understand it, and then he has his own squad and everything that was coming up in the 90s. Like by the time Deltron comes around, I understand like they're all established.
But I think that even like Ice Cube thought that he was weird, like what he was doing, and I mean that's fair compared to like what he was doing.
I've never ever heard a rap album like this. He's definitely weird compared to others.
But it's unique. I don't like
it's not bad.
It is
No, it's weird because it's
unique.
Abnormal. It's not a negative criticism. It's a pleasant surprise for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, the group he's involved with, who I'm fucking blanking on the name right now, is on our list, and we were going to end up reviewing Del probably a couple more times, one way or another.
Nice.
Because I don't know how prominent he was, but he's one of those guys that older hip-hop heads all seem to fucking love, and so I imagine he does have his place of worthy discussion.
Well, I've never really, even while doing some of these reviews, I've never really heard any of the rap groups or rappers sound like the way Del sounds like, or how like even a lot of the music that they're using.
And the production is excellent. So we got to give props to Kid Koala and Dan the Animator. I
it's
like
pretty
that
cool.
Kid Koala's page. He's got a lot of fucking albums and shit out, and I'm actually curious to go check out his shit as well. I don't know much about Dan at this time, but you guys want to discuss, the album title / cover? So with the cover, we have that yellowish thing and like the dome in the background, and the people kind of walking over.
They're like walking like into like a space type.
Oh, it's so good.
Looking, I don't know, like futuristic building or like a spaceship or something.
Right, I had the same idea.
And for me, it was like, holy shit, it's sci-fi. Holy shit, we're in space. And it's the year 3030, because I knew it took place in the year 3030 and shit. So Deltron 3030, with all of this shit going on, I was like, this is the best.
It's really appropriate timing, I think. Like the 2000, like the millennium, and like like the Y2K like stuff that was going on, and like there was lots of like robots, and everybody thought that at 2000 we would be in the future, and like everything was going to change.
Fear of the computer glitch that would have shut down everything over some issue with the dates. That, in fairness, all over the world there was one nuclear power plant that did get crippled by the Y2K bug.
Really?
Just one.
Oh.
I mean, there might have been other instances, but that's what I recalled from headline news, is like the next day. But yeah, you guys want to start discussing the album? Because there's lots to go into. And I just want to say it's the state of the nation.
Yeah.
Bank of time. We find
here we have this.
The intro of the movie.
And it's a movie. Look, you can't look. Okay, so right off the jump, you can't look at this album like a conventional album. It's a movie of sorts. It's fucking cool.
The way I like to picture it is, when you go see a movie and it automatically just starts depicting where it is, that's exactly what this is.
It's like the credits at the beginning of Star Wars or something. And it's the voice of Damon, what's his name? Damon Albarn.
Albarn, yeah.
Who is both from Blur and the Gorillaz. And so, like I said, he's on this album and he does the contribution here. And he kind of reads out this cryptic message alluding to like the return of this like corporate identity and this upper echelon almost of society, but almost alluding like they never left and they're just realizing
they were always coming back.
Or something like that.
That's what they keep saying.
And it was ominous and it was kind of just eerie.
It was creepy. It kind of sounded like the Twilight Zone.
It didn't sound so creepy at first. I found it to be more like informal.
I don't know, man.
Like a boring, informing, like...
But, like, it almost kind of, like, plays a homage to science fiction films of back in the day. Like, I just kind of picture, like, the old...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, like Twilight Zone, where it's, like, creepy.
And this is the introduction with the voice describing the context for what is about to happen. And it was really well executed. And given, the movie-esque kind of feel it was, to me, this was a great start, man.
Sets the tone.
I give it a 4.
Nice.
So did I. I gave it a 4 as well. There wasn't really... It sets the tone well, but there really isn't much to it as part of just that 36-second intro.
Like, I would never listen.
25 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So, like, as far as these skits go, because there's a whole bunch on the album, I would say that they only really work within the album and don't belong otherwise. But within the album, this is a fantastic start.
Yeah. I gave this one a 4.5. I thought it was a really great setup for the album. It really sets the tone well. It's interesting. It's short enough that it's worth listening to every time. Like that. You put the album on. Like you don't just want to skip over it. It's it's so short, and then you immediately know that you're like in space and like something weird's about to happen.
Like another dimension.
Yeah,
type. Yeah.
It's very futuristic and creepy. And
so, like what you're saying is it setting you up to be in the year 3030.
Living in a post-apocalyptic world, morbid and horrid. The secrets of the
like when Lindell recommended Deltron, I had no idea what the fuck they were.
None of us had any idea.
And with that little intro skit, I'm excited, right? Because it's cool, but still no idea what to expect.
And he's a big geek, so that just works out well.
Okay, and then forget about Del and his rapping. Just forget about that. The composure of this beat is enthralling. It's almost like I've almost never heard a beat so engaging.
Yeah.
7.5 minutes. I did not notice the time go by.
But that's also part of him. Like he helps. Really?
Because like those musical breaks are significantly long in the middle of the verses, right?
Right.
So there's large patches without Del even rapping on it, and if the beat hadn't been able to
stand on its own,
kind of like that, I'm doing it all wrong, but that part there in the middle, like it kind of hooked me, and I was like, it kind of carries you through, and it lets everything that just happened kind of sink in. And honestly, it's so different than, let's say, the 80s would have done it. It was like, wow, man. Yeah. All of a sudden I was like, I get why that dude was telling me Kid Koala's the shit, and the next thing it was like, holy fuck.
It was really cool. Given that we all take this as a movie theatrical thing, I feel like we just got the intro credits, or like just the intro displaying where we are, and I feel like he's in the year 3030 and he's describing the planet or like describing where he is, and he's talking about this like post-apocalyptic world and how it's like all broken up and stuff, but he's and when you were talking about the breaks, I feel like it's so interactive with the song because you got him there, like picture this, he's there, he's walking down like the broken street, and he's like da 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 da, and then he looks around.
It's actually more complex than that, right? Because in the first verse, he realizes he's a rapper, and he meets Dan the Automator, and that they have the power here.
Well, at first they land on Mars.
Yeah.
Right?
Honestly, a bit of the planet hopping I got a bit confused on. But in general, because I think they're still on Earth here, right? And there's a reason for that. So he's kind of presents the mission statement of how he's using truth and knowledge to like overcome, and how hip hop is clearly the new weapon force on this earth and shit. Yeah. But then in verse 2, he's in jail, and he kind of alludes to the fact.
Did he actually go to jail?
So, yeah, that's what. Well, I looked it up in real life. Del did not go to jail, or at least I couldn't find evidence. So I imagine it's within the fucking song.
But you have to also take into consideration this is like
this. I mean, this is all fiction.
Yeah, this whole album is fictional.
So in this song, right, he's being put in jail because his rhymes are so real, and it's like the thought police in Russia type shit, right?
It's like 1984.
Hip hop police.
Exactly. And so he gets put in jail for his things, but then we find out the beginning of the connections between hip hop and the dope sci-fi imagery of weapons and cool robot type shit, as he somehow, using his rhyming, takes over a mech warrior, which is like a robot you would control, and he fucking escapes. And then in the third verse, it's kind of like he sets up the idea of them being pure, and they escape to
and then it gets a little bit gospel.
Kind of like lays down his mission statement a little more. Honestly, there's a lot in this album, and like the specifics of the story are kind of hard to lay out in a couple of minutes of talking about it. But as you can tell by my excitement, like I don't think I've been so interested in like it's like a fucking look. I love Star Trek and shit, and I've never heard hip hop that so articulated to the geek in me in such a dope way before. Like this was written for the weird fucking shit I read and everything. It's so good. Okay, you guys can talk.
Thanks.
All right, Bonnie, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like you said, the songs are like, this is really the first one we're hearing. But it's so compact. Like, there's so much going on. Like, and he talks about a lot of different things that are happening. But like, he's kind of presented as like this anti-hero, and he's coming to take rap back and give it back to black people, and to because he kind of criticizes like the white ones that are rising up. And at that time, that was Eminem. So,
and not just Eminem, there was you've got to consider Bubba Sparks was there, and it's more than just Eminem. It was kind of, people saw the marketability, and it you're right, it kind of instantly starts to parallel the themes of what was going on in the hip hop culture in almost a prophetic way.
Yeah,
which is also kind of relatable as of today as well. Yeah. The amount of like white artists that are popping off now, and all these
prophetic means. I'm kidding, Chris. Yes, you get it.
No, it's all good. But
5 on 5.
Oh, straight up, this is a 5 on 5 song. I really like his ability to. I really like his ability to create stories. And just to be fair, he's really smart. And I'm not saying this like I'm not saying any other rapper's smart. He's really smart, and he uses.
Let's say like he flosses his knowledge of science and technology the way other guys are flossing bling and drug dealing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I took from it, because I followed like it all.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is like when you hear like music now, it's like I got this, like I'm doing this or whatever. But in this with Del, he's just like, it's just these huge words that explain sentences. You know what I mean?
Just
like,
to be a little fairer, right? At the time, it's not like hip hop was in the current state it is now. There was really intelligent rhyming that was going on in other fields. It's just
right.
rather than like a guy like Jadakiss or the Locks going on about their version of life, Del has chosen the geekiest route possible on this album with, as you were saying, a lot of like kind of 1984-esque elements. Like you're in this world of
if you don't know 1984, check it out. It's like the best book you'll ever read.
Just to kind of like explain the context of this world a little bit, it's like a totalitarian controlled place, right? So you have the supreme leader, and the upper echelons of society are physically crushing the poor people on the bottom and stuff. And you're going to see
history just keeps getting rewritten and erased and then rewritten to suit whoever. And nobody knows what the truth is anymore.
So like it's like in their efforts to find pure music, like to discover jazz and all of this, to reclaim the culture and the history. And it's kind of like it's such an interesting and fascinating beginning to a story. I bet I could talk about this song alone for the next 10 minutes. For real, because there's so much fucking packed into it.
I just really want to say that I like how if you were to close your eyes and listen to this song, I tried this, okay? I listened to this album twice, and I did it in a weird way. If you were to close your eyes and listen to this song, you can kind of just picture the movie scenario
floating
of him,
around
like,
in space.
Yeah, like him just walking through when he lands on like in space and being there, you can see him like explaining and rapping, and then you see him kind of looking around, and like I just wanted to say what you were saying before with the breaks of the instrumental. That's very captivating. Like it really makes you kind of look around, and you're just like, holy crap! Like you can feel it, you can sense it.
That's pretty amazing that he can do that.
Yeah.
So well,
5 on 5.
The squad.
5 on 5.
I think we have to give full credits to the squad, not just Del on this.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's what the chorus is. He's shouting out their names.
I was watching an interview, and Del, he kind of basically said, he was like, look, the whole space theme was my idea. I wrote all the lyrics, and I wrote everything. But when it came down to the actual production, that was all Kid Koala and Ottoman, and Danny Ottoman.
So
like,
that's what I'm trying to say. It's when
he gives them credit.
So So when I'm going he, or I mean they, generally. Yeah. So everybody gave it a 5?
Yeah.
5 on 5.
All right, so I guess we can say it's the Fantabulous Rap Extravaganza.
Oh, is it now?
Be there for the rap battle. It's going to be interspectacular.
So this is an ad for an upcoming rap battle extravaganza.
This was really, really cool.
By Prince Paul.
Yeah. Really cool. Look, as far as its placement and like shifting the story, it's interesting because it jumps us to a place where now we know Del's a rapper.
Upcoming rap battle.
And like that's his medium of coming in. And
you see,
go on.
You see, this is where it got really cool for me, because in the first actual song, we get him like feeling that he's a rapper and breaking out and escaping. Yeah. And then as I was saying with the whole like walking through the town type stuff, I feel like he just walked by some dude promoting, as you said, a rap battle, and he kind of it's like giving context to the movie story of the album.
It's more like he and his boy set up shop and are now calculating a tactical plan for a revolution.
Right.
And this is the manifestation of how they start the revolution with the rap battle. Like it's not so random as you walked by and noticed.
No, I'm not. But that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying it's I'm not trying to say that it's random. I'm trying to say that given the placement, I feel like he's described where he is, and now he's making an event happen to continue the story, and the event is the miraculous rap battle, intergalactic rap battle. Okay. It's really, really cool.
No, I agree with that. It's a plot mover.
And there's a cool beat behind it. It's not like just him talking.
I gave it a 3. I mean, I thought it was clever for its point, and if I was going to bump the album, I'm not going to skip it because it's short. But let's say it had been longer, it would have annoyed me.
Yeah, it's another 22-second one.
And it's just kind of like, okay. And it didn't move me. It was just kind of like, all right, I want to hear the rap battle. It was kind of like, it was literally like a commercial. And it hit me like a commercial, so it annoyed me a bit.
That's actually why I gave it a 4 on 5. It made me, it kind of, not only did it give me this, like I keep describing, this movie feel, but it also kind of gave me this like, oh, there's gonna be something cool on this album. Like they're hyping something up later on this album. That's why I felt it was like, okay, this is really cool on how they're getting you to want to continue following the story. I gave it a 4 on 5 for that.
Yeah, I also gave it a 4 on 5. I thought it was, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do, and it tells you about something big and awesome. It's coming up. Whoa, whoa. And he, like, uses all these, like, crazy, like, comparisons. So, I mean, it does what it does. And I gave it a 4 on 5. It wasn't terrible.
Simultaneously, it is kind of a commentary on the way things get hyped up in entertainment of late, and it is very brilliant. It was just annoying a little bit for me. So I appreciate its brilliance. I just don't like it as much. So, in general, there's things you can do. Some can't be done.
We've been doing this the entire day.
Things you can do, some can't be done. Things you can do, some.
So, things you can do and some can't be done.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that lines alone is a great preface to this song. It reminds me a lot of the Serenity Prayer and kind of just having the wisdom to understand what's within your potential, what's not, and kind of being realistic and shit. So it already got my brain ticking. Plus, it's so catchy. Cool. I've been singing it like Chris was trying to say before I cut him off there as before. Honestly, dope track. I mean, did anyone else picture Del and giant robots and space battles and guns and science and technology and dope hip-hop bars?
It kind of made me feel like I went into I kind of shifted into video game mode. It was,
it's like a weird world that
It's like, you ever played Mass Effect?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Exactly, like lasers.
It's like I imagine this happening in some like comedic way while you're going out killing aliens and shooting things.
It's crazy, right? Because it's this parallel between the better he is at rhyming, the more destruction. Because he has his squad, right? It's not just him. And he's going out there, and we've already established that he wants to be like a rebel with this and take over the system and overthrow the government. And now it's kind of like testing out the waters and kind of like...
They do have, they did say in an interview that they have this, like, freedom mentality and, like, wanting to just be and let be and not be held down or, like, oppressed by, like, rules and shit.
Right.
So I can see where you get this like anti-rebelness.
I feel like this song goes a lot into science and technology just to show that with wisdom and knowledge and learning you can have it, and then showing that it can even translate into hip hop. Because like I said,
he also uses like all the technology to his advantage.
Exactly.
And like he uses it to destroy everyone at like battles and like that he's better than everybody because he uses what's available to him in the best possible and most legit way.
Just to go in a whole different direction with this chit chat we're having here, the way the beat keeps flipping throughout the song to like kind of shift the tone, like it goes from kind of like that funkier upbeat into this more ominous kind of doom 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 kind of like bassier driven-ish kind of thing, and then it flips a few times throughout the track to shift your mood along the way. So as he's rhyming, you're not like, one of my biggest beefs with a lot of beats is that they don't change a lot, and the way these guys flip the beats up a lot make them be able to drop like a 5-minute track and you just don't even feel it because it's such, again, as engaging production. I was blown away. I really like this shit so far. I give it a 4.5 on 5.
So did I.
You know why? Because I kind of felt like it was a little bit more of like him flossing than it was trying to actually drive the story along. Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I really appreciate it. But he's also
kind of like hyping up, like, again, like, this just came off of like that ad. Right. So like now he's kind of saying, like, he's kind of giving you the proof of the pudding, right?
Exactly.
He's saying like, I'm this good. He's like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to destroy you. He's like, your career will be nothing after I'm done with you. He puts it down hard. And like, for me, I found like the chorus or the hook or whatever so annoying. Like it was just so annoying. And as much as I didn't like that part, Del is so good that I couldn't give it a bad mark. It's still 4.5.
I don't know. I felt like by the end, it was like, okay, a little bit much of the same thing.
It's almost like hypnotic.
But, like, it's not bad in any way. It's like...
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like compared to 30-30, I like 30-30 more. And it's hard to give this one a 5 next to that one. But it's pretty fucking close, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes just hearing a better song so early can hurt it. But like, he's not as good as that. But I really, again, this is amazing so far.
I actually gave it a 5 on 5. I really thought it was a perfect track. I really thought it was very self-reflecting. As you were saying, and it's funny you brought that up, that he's like proving that he can do this whole like rap battle thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like what he's saying and how he's saying it as the character is like he's hyping himself up to have like the braveness and the courage to go out and do the rap battle thing. So it was really, really cool. I was like, there's some things you can do and there's some things you can't and there's some things you must not. And it's such a real track. A little bit annoying, but I can get past that enough to give it a 5 on 5.
Okay. So the next one, Positive Contact. Realized at this point that there were going to be a lot of songs that were similar.
Yeah.
Because, albeit this one is a little less individualistic, this is more like space battles, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like when you're playing Star Wars Battlefront and you have like the battles that are like on the ground and you're fighting with your guns, and then you go into the next level and it's a space mission.
I get you.
And now you're in the space mission as you're flying around with your TIE fighters and shit, and he and his boys are using technology to their advantage, things like manipulating the internet and gaining, you know, the same ideas kind of almost presented as in the previous songs, only now that it's like his stature's growing and he has people under him and he's kind of maybe trying to establish that. And they got a base on Mars, right? So they've set up shop and they've escaped Earth, and they're now rebels that are kind of building up in a very Star Wars-ish kind of way.
Right. So that's exactly what I got. Now that he's built up the courage and he's got the I guess, you know, the balls to start making movements, he's gone and implemented some certain movements to start making this happen.
Yeah.
I also really thought this was a really great track because, again, I like how you brought up this whole like Star Wars feel, like shooting, and you're kind of just watching it happen in fight scenes, but I don't see them like kind of like physically killing each other. I see it like he's trying to one up all these like bad guys with peace and like positive actions to try to change the things like, instead of being violent.
Well, he wants to be like the leader of like the underground revolution kind of.
And his
that's
end
what he
goal
wants.
is more to educate and
Yes.
to show people that you can do it on your own. It's like he's saying,
educate through entertainment.
And then if you really look at what he's saying y'all have the skills and the tools just like I do to accomplish these goals. And it's almost like saying, look, the internet's here. It's even easier now than it's ever before. Again, kind of being prophetic as to what would end up happening to the hip-hop culture. And if you consider it, it's kind of like you got the rise of all the fakes and the cheap, and now Del's trying to keep the underground real with his squad. And I thought it was just so interesting.
This was a really great song, to be honest.
I gave it a 4.5 on 5. The reason why is because this beat grinded my gears just a teensy bit by the end. Like it wasn't the same level of dopeness. But otherwise, I love the track. I love that weird thumping bass at the beginning. I really like the movie is good so far in my head as we go along on it.
Yep. I actually gave this song a 5 on 5. I thought, again, it was another perfect, solid track. It was produced really well. Unfortunately, unlike Holden, I thought the beat was not annoying. And it's captivating. It's like you kind of you're there and then you slip and then it's like bang, you're right back in because he captures you, and he's just so good at fucking rapping, man. Like the way he positions his flows, the way he's got the interconnected rhymes within the sentences, and he like puts so much emphasis on them to hear the rhyme. I'm just like,
just to take that one step further, he's got a really good handle of that theatrical storytelling comparable to his cousin Ice Cube.
And controlling his voice.
Cool.
And controlling
and that's what
his
I mean,
voice.
like the way that they can really get animated with it and like flip lines up and tones and inflections to just keep it an engaging thing, because you know this is all story driven or kind of braggadocious kind of rap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But in a really good, fucking crazy fun way. I really like it so far.
Yeah. I also gave this a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was catchy. I thought it was kind of annoying. But again, Del is just so amazing that you can't hate it. It's just, I don't know. He's just so good. He's consistently great.
Fair enough. And
if anything, we could probably catch him on St. Catherine Street.
like in Montreal.
Ooh, yes.
So, this is real. And it kind of like really depicts how like
By real,
the
he
struggle.
means depicting reality within fiction.
No, I like how he depicted the struggle of somebody needing to make a quick dollar on the side, having to lie to get what he needs, having to, like, you know, the hustle is real. I kind of find it cute that it's called St. Catherine Street because where we are from, we have a St. Catherine Street. It's a main boulevard in our downtown city.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Shopping on St. Catherine Street.
Let's say that this guy would have been on our St. Catherine Street.
So it's like home. Like this song was literally home to me. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, it wasn't great, like a 5, but I did give this a 4 on 5. It was just really cool.
I didn't really get this one. It sounded like too many people were talking. Like it was like a messed up sort of
outside
like
feeling.
Satellite distribution, and you were kind of like hearing all these like voices and calls. But I know it was supposed to be like set in like a market scene, but that's what I like heard before, like hearing other people's opinions.
So that's kind of what a marketplace would be like, though. This guy standing at the table, all the noises and voices and conversations around you. I think what he's trying to allude to is in 3030, look, if you go to the marketplace, you have the same hustler on the same street corner doing the exact same thing because all this time later ain't shit changed.
Yep.
I give it a 3.5 on 5. It wasn't boring. It wasn't like a 3 or anything. But it wasn't great, and I want to give it a 4. So I thought it deserved its 3.5 in the middle. It was definitely more interesting to me than hyping up a rap battle. And it was a cool like world context setter, right? Just to give you an idea, this is like the destroyed ghetto of society. Like this is a poor situation. That's a poor marketplace, right?
But see,
that's not some shit you're gonna get in the upper class.
But see, if you think about this in the movie aspect, our boy Del has now defeated all the monsters he was fighting in the previous scene. He's taken a trip down the good old ghetto, broken down area, and he ran into a hustler.
Yes, and the hustler and him had a conversation, and then I don't have much more to add to this section.
Yeah, I mean, it was 44 seconds. I gave it a 3 on 5. I thought it was weird. For me, it didn't really do too much.
Fair enough.
It's okay. At least none of us have a virus.
Thank goodness.
Vise a virus to bring dire straits to your environment. Crush your corporation.
Now we have a further plot point in our movie, which was pleasant. It starts with, we hear of talks of a virus that is being worked on, showing that to some degree somebody's aware of what's about to happen, and we're not really sure who's doing the virus yet, but then Del, he jumps in to let us know right away what's about to happen. And so he wants to create a computer virus that will
late at night when he's bored
shit up.
He just
then
wants to destroy cities
fuck shit up, I feel like he's
world anarchy.
I think he's going after modern technology and how we have to retract back to our roots and be like more independent on how we're gonna survive as
don't agree.
Okay.
I think what he's trying to go for with this is they didn't listen to us, so we're going to hit them where it hurts, because he's alluded it's either this song or one of the other ones that they paid attention to the weak spots in the government system, and they're going to attack them in a way that's very deliberate. And he goes out of his way in the second verse, I think it is, to describe in detail the way this virus is going to fuck up specific systems. Like it's going to take out their banking operations, it's going to destroy their like navigation, it's going to basically create chaos in the way things are done. So yes, you're right. The reliance on technology allows for this whole to be created, but I don't think that his intent is specifically to create pain for the sake of saying fuck them. They never listen. Now we're gonna force them to listen.
Okay.
And like he kind of is proving to society that they're not as safe as they think that they are, and that like what happens on the internet, like there are things that they can do to destroy you, and like that's what they're kind of planning. And I also was kind of thinking like maybe like in the way that his music will be like a virus, that it'll get inside of you and like like it'll destroy you because his music is so true, and like it'll affect you that much. Like so maybe like there was that kind of thing as well. I kind of maybe I'm like misreading it or like just giving him too much, I don't know, too much credit. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Well, he deserves the credit.
I feel like it was a lot more of the science rhymes, which I appreciated. Like I followed every joke, and I have to give him credit. He has called out across the various songs a lot of very specific cultural references to very specific things, paying homage to sci-fi across history, and it's really cool to see that in a hip hop album. And I gave this a 4 because, albeit I liked the griminess of the track and everything, it kind of drew on a little bit. And by the end, I was like, okay, I could skip on a little. But, like, I'd go about most of the way into this song before I started feeling like, okay. So 4 on 5, but I love the concept. I love the way it moves the story forward. And I really am still impressed greatly by this album.
Fair enough, fair
Cool.
enough.
I also gave it a 4 on 5. I mean, yeah, I feel like I said everything.
All right, well, I also gave it a 4 on 5 as well, only because it's not one of the tracks that I would really go to listen right away. If it came on, I would definitely listen to it. It's really, really a good song, but you kind of have to be in that mood where you're planning a virtual genocide on technology.
Let's be real, right?
Yeah.
You're not listening to Virus necessarily off the middle. I mean, some people might, but for me, Virus is more of a track where I'm listening to this album and it comes on and I enjoy it as part of the story.
Like an inspirational track in a sense once you get to it.
I could listen to 3030 or Things You Can Do just as standalone tracks and bump them.
Yeah.
And this one did not sink so deeply in. It kind of felt like more like it was there and it was a good song, but or maybe it is just because of the genocidal nature of it. I mean, I appreciated it, but I don't think it's that. I think it's really... It's a little bit of a quality tier down from the other ones. Is he really planning on doing
something like this?
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know.
No, I appreciated that. It's because he is the anti-hero. He's more of a vigilante. So for the story, it makes a lot of sense. It was the beat and the griminess that got to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's upgrade then.
To a Baymar college.
One day it may matter. Yo, your recovery slow.
Let me see if I understand this song. It starts off with a really cutesy little advertisement with the robotic voice sounding and making fun of like almost like shit colleges, and they're, oh, you come here and we'll teach you this step, and it kind of focused on programming languages and blah blah blah. And then Del comes in with his upgrade your brain matter or something.
Your gray matter,
which is your brain tissues.
Because one day it'll matter.
So basically, get smarter. Then what I thought was interesting is it's almost like he gets cybernetic implants so that he can instantly process information at a quick speed without actually having to learn shit. And then he talks about doing drugs later on in the song to be able to like further enhance his abilities, all with the faster he can make his mind go, the more he can improve his brain, his ability to process information, the doper MC he'll be, which in this world means the more power he has to be able to get his revolution to the next level. So it's like he created his idea for the virus. He wants to do that. And now he's taking his skills and almost making himself half man, half machine to come back and be the ultimate Deltron 3030 as he crushes on his crusade to topple the fucking government and this totalitarian system. It's so interesting. No, but on the real, this song annoyed me more than the other ones because it was like, upgrade, you're great. And I get it. And it was really the structure of like 6 or 7 smaller verses with that chorus, where I would have preferred it to be arranged differently, but otherwise it was great. So 3.5 on 5.
Okay, all that passion in 3.5. Okay,
it was a cool idea.
I gave it a 3 on 5. I was very lost. I didn't really know what was going on in this song. I was confused. I feel like, I don't know, there was just too much going on. I feel like in his lyrics, because there is a lot, and if you're not like reading the interpretation of every single lyric, sometimes like it's like there's a lot of sci-fi stuff that I don't get, and so
I'm just saying.
Whatever.
You're looking at me with that science shit like this guy.
Well, because you get it. I'm just saying. I'm like, I don't always get these things, like these references and whatever. So for me, like, it didn't make a lot of sense. I gave it a 3 on 5 because Del is, yes, still good and whatever, but it wasn't my song.
So just to quote some Del here, maybe what you need to do is to upgrade your gray matter, because someday, like while recording a podcast, it may matter.
My gray matter is
tonight.
just fine. Don't you worry.
You're sleeping on the couch tonight. That's what's fucking happening.
Comfy fucking couch.
I'd sleep on this couch.
All right, and you?
I gave this song a 4 on 5. The first time I listened to it, I didn't really understand it, but I did capture something from it. What I captured was, we should stop being so dependent on technology and upgrade our natural skills. That's what I caught first time.
But then he had all those lines.
Right.
Is okay
the second time, I was like, okay, I'm wrong. It was more like adapting with it and trying to find ways. I felt like I was trying to find ways to moderate it, as well as like taking a break. And I do know that some people say they take drugs to open up their mind and have more experiences. So that as well, it's like take a break sometimes and
Just
do
keep
something
in mind,
else.
both Bill Gates and Steve Jobs did LSD and basically said we wouldn't have the technology we have today if it wasn't for drugs.
Interesting.
Fun facts, everybody.
All right.
But again, I wouldn't go and decide to listen to this.
All right.
Well, maybe you would be interested in some new Coke.
Oh, yeah.
Water. We gotta get out of it. We gotta go to some
And even the title is an interesting point because, as Chris and I were just discussing, we remember the good old days as our parents bitched about the changing of the Coke recipe, as this was the big calamity.
The cocaine out of the Coke recipe.
No, it's
that
not,
was way before.
No, this is in the late 90s-ish, I
Not
believe
that
it
old,
was.
folks.
They changed the recipe in a way that was noticeable. I think it's when they added corn syrup.
Yep.
And,
Yeah, it still tastes different in America than what we have
no,
in
it's
Canada.
also changed again recently.
But it tastes more syrupy than actual liquid.
What I thought this was an interesting track is this is basically, if you wanted to conceptualize it with modern pop, it would be the member berries of South Park, and the way that this guy's kind of bitching about it, and then I remember when Coke used to taste a certain way, just to kind of tie it into something from our reality, which would have been fresh in everyone's mind, I imagine back then.
I guess this is a little bit dated.
I don't agree because again, it happened really recently.
But
Well,
you know
really
what?
recently is
No,
17 years ago.
No, I'm saying it happened.
No, they changed
again in the 2010s.
Oh,
It happened
okay,
again,
okay.
and I remember this debate happening. And so for me, it's kind of almost funny. So it's kind of saying in Deltron's 30/30 year, they're still mad that they changed the Coke recipe.
So that just like people just can't accept change, and that like this has happened, and so like that's kind of what he's saying. It's like
This one was a 4.
I got.
Oh, okay.
You know why this was a 4? Because it was fucking meta, and I'm sure the other ones were, but this one it clicked so, and it was well produced compared to maybe
42 seconds, short and sweet again.
And I enjoyed it, but it was like you had a good beat under it and everything. It was fucking great.
Cool. I gave it a 4 on 5 as well. I got I already knew it was the new Coke recipe when it came out and started. I was like, okay, cool. He paid homage to that, made a reference, but I got another thing from it, and I felt like things are starting to change in this post-apocalyptic world now, and people that have gotten comfortable for it are now like, dude, shit's changing. We don't want to be here. So I was like, okay, now Del has made an impact on this world, and certain people are kind of like,
Okay.
Maybe, but I feel like it's again a tone setter of just kind of showing the parallels between an attitude that exists now and then.
Right. I do agree
this
that
is
that's
just
there.
this is like an old person complaining about how life was better back in the day.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
So
But if we take
based
the concept,
on your concept, it would be that they would be excited for change because Del has invoked change in them, whereas he is fighting the idea of change. Unless you're saying that Del's being successful elsewhere.
like I'm saying like Del's being successful in changing what he wants, and some people don't agree with his change, so they're like, we want to
I'm
go away
starting to
from
see
that.
where you're coming from here. That actually makes sense. That's a good point because he's upgraded. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yes, I agree.
Wow.
4 on 5, guys.
So yeah.
But with that,
So my grade for this one was a 2. I thought it was weird. I thought it was like a futuristic guy, like a guy in like 30/30 who was still complaining about like
That
stuff from like way back in the day.
is
or,
what it is.
Yeah, like so that's what I just took away from it, like the same thing.
But you're missing the poetry.
It was 40. Anyways, no. Anyway,
That's fine.
it just didn't do it for me.
So what you're saying is you're not really a mastermind.
Oh, I am.
Programming, I apply the flow cannon. The combo so slamming, atomically reconstruct.
Here it's just like Dan and Del. They are the mastermind genius, and it's kind of like Eric B. and Rakim for president, only mastermind.
yeah.
And,
this was cool. This was really cool. I liked how he took the time to give them the credit, and he really knows how to make it like kind of like a peppy speech. Kind of like, me and my team, we got this, but he's putting it on them that they're the reason why they got this. And I really found it very humble of him to do that.
It's also kind of like...
I don't know if
as
this was
part
a
of-
humbled track
Because this is
necessarily.
like part
this
of
is
the
him
narrative,
bragging.
right? It's like he's kind of saying, yes, he can't do it alone. With Dan, together, they are able to accomplish the great masses. They are the mastermind. They are the supreme leaders of this underground movement that are, maybe not supreme leaders.
Well, he wants you to join their team. He wants you to, like, see, like, how cool they are and, like, you know, like, what steps they're taking. And, like, they want you to, like, join them. And
with great beat work, sick fucking everything about this track was pretty dope. I don't have any real complaints about it. I mean, it seemed like it was, again, 4 verses-ish. I think it was pretty much the same thing. It was one of those songs where he's just laying it down. Maybe this verse was more about Dan. Maybe this one was more about him. Maybe a little more about the two.
I like how impressive they are and, you know, all their mad skills.
It was a pretty good ego track.
It was a banger track, I found.
I'll give it a 4.5 on 5. The beat work is excellent. That's my favorite part of this track. As much as I like Del, I actually like the beats. When the beats hit on this album, they shine in a way that is like, I'll never forget them. I could just put this on, close my eyes, pull a Damon, forget about Del, and listen to it. I wouldn't, because Del's still sick, but I could, because the beat is so good. Fair enough. Is fucking solid. It's not perfect. 30-30 is hard to stand up against, but it's pretty good.
I gave this one a 3.5. For me, this one wasn't that great. It was still kind of weird sounding and, like, futuristic, but, you know, like, that's what it's supposed to be. But it was just, like, a bragging track, and, yeah, that was that.
Nice.
Sorry.
I actually found this track to be an absolute fucking banger, man. Like, this took me by surprise. I was like, yes, you guys are the motherfucking masterminds, man. I've been saying throughout the entire album, this guy, Del, has a way with his words and a way on how he speaks and how he fucking phrases himself. It's just insane. And like I said earlier, I like how he took the time to shout out the rest of his crew, hype them up, and kind of show everybody
the rest of his crew, wasn't it just kind of pretty much him and Dan?
Well, either way, he still took the time to do it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm just glad that he took the time to showcase and give credit to Dan. That's all.
Okay,
that's really
I appreciate that.
Like, that's bottom line.
Again.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he hasn't neglected Dan. He made him an integral part of the plot line. And I'm not dismissing what you're saying. I just find it strange that that's the most impressive part of the song.
Well, no, I actually just really like the song. Like, all hands down, I also just really like the song. It's a really good song, produced well. I give it a 5. 5 on 5.
Wow.
All right.
I really enjoyed this album, man. Like,
so
next nerds over here.
Next up is the National Movie Review.
Yes.
Geniuses of North American cinema from the 20th century, Bob and Doug McKenzie.
As a Canadian, I have very mixed feelings about this.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Hosers is not a good thing.
Nope, I loved it still.
A hoser, for anybody who doesn't know, is the guy who doesn't play the hockey game.
Did you just learn this?
Has to. No, I've known this from a TV show. But, you know, our American friends might not know it. Okay. Our other friends might not know it. European Landell might not know it.
Hold on. Like, somehow in the middle of Deltron.
Okay, hold on. Let him finish explaining it. What is it?
So basically, if you suck at hockey and you can't skate or do anything, you're the nice little fella who gets to sit on the bench and make sure the ice rink gets to stay frozen outside.
Okay.
With the hose.
So somehow in the middle of Deltron 3030, he takes a shot at Canadians. I don't know. It was fucking weird. And it's like just kind of shouting out this classic Canadian hybrid movie based on these other movies, and then something, you'll be a hoser, and I'm like, I laughed so hard.
Funny thing?
I thought it was so funny. I thought it was such a good joke. I don't know why he did it. And it's kind of interrupting, because it's interrupting what was previously there, just to point out this arbitrary random Canadian thing. And I thought that...
Yeah, I have no idea why he did this.
Well, hold on. We do have a St. Catherine Street, and hosers, and the whole
Everybody's got a St. Catherine Street.
I'm just saying...
I think you're stretching.
Unfortunately, I was not aware that everyone has a St. Catherine Street.
I mean, it's not the most uncommon name, given that St. Catherine was a really important thing.
I know, but I felt like it just felt very coincidental that our downtown had the street, and he's picking on hosers.
But we don't have hosers here in Quebec, because on parle le français ici dans notre province.
But it's a little bit worse than what I explained it, but that's the gist.
Yeah, I gave this a fucking 4, because it cracked me up, and I could listen to it, because it's like a fucking little comedy stint.
Before I found out it was hosers, though, the first time I heard it, I thought it said posers, which I thought it was really cool in giving a certain setting,
Why would that be cooler?
A certain tone setting to the rest of the album. Because I feel like at one point Del is gonna kind of go after people who are trying to be what they're not.
Why would it make sense in a skit?
I don't know. I didn't know. That's what I'm saying. I had to listen to it multiple times, and then when I read the lyrics, I was like, oh.
So if I understand correctly, because you mistook that one word was enough to create context for the entire skit. Yeah. Until you realized it was the wrong word.
And then, but then it just kind of made another context where he's taking shots at me.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not taking it personally, but it's just Canadian.
Oh boy.
Okay, let's move on.
But I didn't.
What's your grade?
I gave it a 2 on 5. I didn't really get it. I thought it was an ad for like a nature show. I didn't really know what was going on.
Oh, it was a movie.
Yeah, I didn't really get it though.
It was kind of like making fun of classic Canadian films and shit, I think, is what it was doing. I think it's like he probably watched a bunch of classic Canadian, like that movie with the Mounties or whatever. That was a comedy.
Dudley Do-Right?
Yeah, shit like that. And then he just watched a bunch of those and this popped into his head.
I've never...
That's kind of what I felt.
Well, I don't know. I just thought it was weird. And then I thought that the beat, even though it's 53 seconds, I felt that the beat went on for way too long at the end. I know that sounds weird. It wasn't for me. I would skip over this one.
It was fucking madness.
Yes, it was.
Madness, I'm caught in the grip of the city.
Bonnie, what did you think about this one?
Well, this one he's kind of just talking about everybody wants to be like an MC or a DJ or a rapper, and everyone wants to tell their side of like their story. But that a lot of it is being controlled and a lot of it's fake, and people are just like, nobody's helping anybody in like their communities. Like, I'm just kind of going through like the whole song. Like, it was just, there was like a lot that was going on, and like a lot of people are kind of pointing fingers at who's to blame for like the way rap is at this moment. But nobody's taking like the responsibility on themselves. Yeah, I don't know. But at this point, like in this album, I found that like a song like really needed to stand out and like be really like good, because I don't know, for me, like the songs were kind of like starting to sound similar, and like this, I mean, because obviously it's supposed to be a movie, so obviously it's supposed to flow, and it does. But I don't know, I gave it a 3 on 5. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
That's fine.
Fair enough.
I thought it was like, I thought there was a lot of interesting ideas in it. Like
there were.
He attacks ignorance, he attacks racism and hip hop, and then the very end of it, it's just like, thank God I love music in life, because otherwise it'd be easier to kill myself. And I'm like, fuck. It's some heavy themes that he's dropping the whole way through. He's creating this real context for madness, and then honestly, he just criticizes people who take from it without understanding it. Like, that people aren't willing to look into the history of the culture, because if you remember, Deltron starts off studying the culture, and this is what gives him the tools he needs to succeed, and he kind of reiterates that point a little bit. I like how the hook kind of flips at left field with just that girl's voice and stuff, and is a little bit different and kind of playing more on that side of things. And I don't know.
I like the clarinet or the horn or whatever that.
Yeah, the trumpets.
Yeah, trumpet. There we go.
The trumpets were really nice.
What did you give
it?
I give it a 5. This shit gave me a lot to think about. Because what I like about this versus the ones I wasn't giving 5s to is that the song almost feels like it evolves within itself. Whereas, let's say, some of the ego science rapping tracks, it's just that. It's well delivered, but it's not a lot of growth to it. This one had like almost like a flow within it, and I really appreciated it.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, I felt like this song was Del kind of not wanting to conform to what everyone else is doing. He's kind of being, like we say, that anti-rebellion type.
That would make him a conformist if he's an anti-rebellious type.
Crap. He doesn't want to do what everyone else is doing. He sees that everyone else is trying to be a certain way that the media wants them to be, or the government's trying to set rules down. I know that at one point he's discussing how he feels like we shouldn't be, like humans shouldn't have rules, that we should just be able to do what we feel and do what we want. And
make anarchy.
Maybe not so much anarchy, but just...
No, he's going for anarchy.
Okay, he's going for anarchy.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I gave it a 4 on 5 only because I didn't really... I'm not saying the chorus was bad. I just felt like it was too soft for how kind of hard he was going, I felt.
Well, he just needed to break the album up in a way to do it
Yeah,
differently.
yeah,
it's
I
to
completely
make you,
understand.
Like, think to just take like this sentence and drill it into your mind.
Fair enough. I appreciate it. I appreciated what he did. I just felt for this song he went so like deep and kind of hard on the verses that I was just kind of I guess expecting to have him keep that
contrast is a good thing in music.
Yeah, that's true.
Because otherwise you're just an onslaught of hard and it doesn't give you an opportunity to let the message sink in. Had it been that, it would have been worse. You needed something kind of here in the middle to break it up a bit. And
okay.
Actually, like to create a better, more global experience with the song.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, meet Cleoffs, Randolf, the Patriarch.
To be the burbs, and before that was Canarsie. I'm a disturbed and bitter herb like salt water and parsley.
Chris, explain to us this little skit.
So this skit is now the part of the movie, or what I like to call the part of the video game as well, where we have now met the random tradesman person, where we have something he might want, and he has something that we need to continue the quest and continue on our journey. So throughout the little skit, I think it was named Ralph or Cleoffs or
sure,
whatever.
Randolph.
He's basically, so you've walked up to this guy and he's basically explaining himself, what he does with his dreadlocks, how he holds them with a napkin. Remember, this is a post-apocalyptic world, so it's all like ghetto shit and like broken down kind of hard shit.
Just imagine Wall-E.
Yeah.
There we go. We've walked up to this guy, and he's explaining who he is and what he does. He doesn't really care for money. He more cares for, like, sexually pleasing women and, like, having fun and freedom like that. But he is a trading person, so if you have something he wants, he might have something you want. We find out that our main character in the story needs a flashlight, so he goes, all right.
He offers that he has a flashlight.
Right, okay, so he offers the flashlight. And then he's like, if you give me your horse, you can have the flashlight. There we go. And then we move on.
The end. And it's kind of done in this really poemy, rhymey, flowy way. I don't know. I liked it. It tickled my brain. 4 out of 5.
It was really worth the 4 on 5, to tell you the truth. It still gives me that feeling like we're still on an adventure. And we're still going with what's like the theme of the album.
Okay, maybe I need to listen to this again because, I mean, for me, like, I was kind of confused as to who this was. I thought it was just, like a homeless or, like, a crazy person, like, on the street, like, who was, like, talking to him or was,
I don't know that he's a trader, like Chris said. I think it's just some guy he ran into. And
I thought even, like, the guy could maybe be talking to no one. Like, he could just be, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, he's just, like, a crazy person. He's just, like, babbling away. So for me, I just thought it was weird. It was I gave it a 3.
It's an interesting representation. I feel like it's a tone setter. These skits are all just little snippets of life here, kind of like Blade Runner or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So like this random like scene that plays on and shows you this little extra piece of information, and like this is just a guy showing the hippier side of shit, right? The guy who doesn't, everything he said. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to really interpret the significance except just to show the different perspectives the average people are having.
All right. Like the fact that time keeps on slipping?
Into the future. I like the chorus, which is kind of implying like people don't have patience. Or nobody can stop to give you the time of day anymore because everyone's so preoccupied and caught up in themselves. And
okay, so that's
and then Del just proceeds to lay down a lot more of the he's really dope, super geeky sci-fi shit.
Yeah.
Is this the one with the Optimus Prime and Decepticons one? I don't know if that's on. He did that at
well,
one point.
he kind of references Optimus Prime on a few
and
tracks.
Honestly, it's hard to like. This is where, from like a review perspective, I'm like, I don't know what else to add here. Del is amazing. The beat's transformative and alive. It's really geeky and dope. It's kind of creating a bit more of the world ambiance, and I fucking really enjoyed it to the point of a 4.5 on 5.
Oh wow!
I wish I had more to contribute to this song, but it was just dope.
Well, I gave it a 3 on 5. I thought it was weird again. Like, I don't know, this sci-fi stuff just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. It's just not my thing. But I'm still I mean, Del's still amazing. It's still it does what it does, But for me, it's just sort of him bragging, and like he's just kind of talking about like what he's gonna leave behind, and that his lyrics will impact people in the future, and that this is like this is going to be his legacy. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. I actually gave this a 4 out of 5. It was a really cool beat, a really great flow, crazy wordplay, and I like how he kind of just, for me at least, what I interpreted was that he's active with what he's doing, but everyone else just kind of wants to let time waste and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from.
I see that. Like, I see how you're grinding and trying to do what you want to do and save the world or not, or do whatever the fuck it is, create that virus from a couple tracks ago. But everyone else is just like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and just do what anyone tells me to do, I guess. It was really cool. It was really cool.
Fair enough. So next up, it's the news. A wholly owned subsidiary of Microsoft Incorporated. We have musician Haftiz Huld, who is speaking Icelandic, and apparently there are aliens or creatures that are acting strangely, and things are starting to change, and people are kind of getting afraid, and that's about it. And it's got such an excellent fucking smooth beat, and her voice is pretty, and it sits over it.
Well, her voice is Icelandic musician. I'm sorry.
I totally said it
already. Or we're going to butcher this.
Sheesh.
You said the whole name?
Yeah, I totally did.
Okay, I'm
Not
sorry.
even
I'm
listening.
sorry.
Rude.
My bad.
But yeah, no, and it was all in Icelandic.
Yeah.
And it just played out this beat that kind of sounded ambient. And I thought it was cool because like if you translate it, like it has on the nicegenius.com, it kind of shows that there is actual changes and things happening based off of Dell's actions almost, and his thought waves are going around and causing people to behave differently, which is now being picked up by people around the world in different newscasts and shit. So it's cool for like the plot moving forward, and it sounds dope. So 4.
All right. Well, I'll just ruin everything like I do. I gave this one a 1 on 5. I'm sorry. Like unless you speak Icelandic or you have the lyrics in front of you translated, then you're not gonna know what this is. Like it just kind of sounds like you don't know what's being said, and then you're just
nice
kind of
sounding.
Yeah, it's nice sounding, but I would skip it every time. I would never listen to it.
I actually gave this a 5 on 5.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Let's hear why.
So again, this whole movie freaking guy, it got me in a state. It got me in this like thing.
But how does this get a 5
because
versus other
because
ones?
check this out. Check this. Well,
We're checking.
Check this out.
Please.
How scary and creepy is it to have some like automated message, and you're in a post-apocalyptic world, shit's changing, but you don't know what's changing. All you know is aliens and creatures, because she speaks Icelandic the entire thing, but there's certain words that she says in English. So now just put yourself in that position. You've gone through all this battle fight, you get up to this, whether it's a machine or whether it's whatever. It's like, it kind of gave me this feeling like, okay, so what's changing? You don't know unless you read the lyrics.
Okay.
But you hear aliens and creatures, and you're like, okay,
that's
so
probably more what Dell wanted, and like,
that's
I'm
what
just
I got, and he
misreading
did it. He did it. Like he
Wasn't
really.
for me.
And actually, I don't know if it's Dell that did it. I think it's we have to give credits to Dan the Ottoman who did it.
Dan the
to place it
Automator. He's not an Ottoman.
Automator, yes.
The squad, Deltron 3030.
But yeah, 5 on 5, justified.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good job.
Sure. All right, Turbulence remix is next.
All right.
Body guard so you can't touch them either. Bodies disappear, obviously a fear.
Alright, so now we got Dell fucking shit up is what I'm taking from this one. It's really interesting. It's a vivid description of the various social classes, the different realities coming in, the consequences of the different realities.
This is the message to the nonconformists.
And just kind of, you can tell, like, everything's kind of coming. Like, murder's a regular thing. It's painting almost like the chorus there. It makes it sound like a regular hood in our modern time. And then
that,
painting,
you know, and that many years, you know, down the line, like things are still the same. It's like.
And then there was this really interesting tidbit about how the aliens don't even want to fuck. They landed and they said it's not even worth taking this planet because it's not sustainable because they're burning through all their natural resources, which is another valid criticism
100%.
of what's happening on our planet here. And I was like, damn.
It's like we're just destroying ourselves. Why do we want to be here?
And the beat's dope. And Dell's dope, and it's really, I like his fuck this system. And this one was very comparable to 3030 on subject matter and the way he painted out this world and shit.
Well, you hear like spaceships or whatever like flying by,
so
and like
good.
you're like floating through space. It's cool.
I give it a 5.
Wow.
Really? I give it a 4 on 5. I like everything about it. I like how he depicts this. Honestly, I thought he just kind of straight up said humans fucked up. Humans fucked up the world and destroyed the planet, and this is what's going on, and because we can't find like a common ground or like peace or something like that, we're just gonna keep fucking up.
We're just doomed to ourselves.
But again, I also kind of took it as what he's seeing in this, again, post-apocalyptic world on like why is murder so like prevalent? Well, there's no real rules. There's no real anything.
It's because the upper class is suppressing the lower class.
Well, everyone is controlled and tracked. Like he talks about that on this like the song.
He does create the context to why the murders are happening.
Right.
There's no confusion in this track. He's laying it down. The direct result of a capitalistic social tiered system like what we're facing is going to be the complete suppression of people to a point where if you don't play ball, you die.
Sucks.
That's it.
And like, I mean, there's a few books and shit that Dell clearly read that like 1984 would be a great example of shit that influenced this.
Probably read lots of futuristic stuff.
Oh, definitely into it. And what'd you give it?
I gave it a 3.5 on 5.
Of course you did.
I thought it was truthful but creepy and weird, like as fuck, and like I don't know. You know, this is just not my genre.
Fair enough. So next up is the Fantabulous Rap Extravaganza Part 2. So this is the exact same thing as the other one, except this time it's the Intergalactic Rap Battle, which is a story plot point setter for the next track. It's the same thing. We don't need to run through it again. Let's just do the grades thing. 3 on 5.
3.5.
It's hard. It's a kind of exactly like the same thing with different words.
A little bit different.
It's different rap battles. So it's the second one. All right, let's move on to fucking the battle song.
The quickest we've.
Next.
Manipulate the cursor, recharge our essentials, set the coordinates, then flow.
So now we get the story of Dell showing up to the rap battle place, and he
tries to get his papers for free.
And then he goes through and he starts beating people, and he gets jumped and beat down. And again, it's all about like rap battle rhyming, but consistently paraboling it into actual fucking futuristic sci-fi combat scenes.
Right.
Well, he's going from like planet to planet to planet, like winning like wherever he goes, and like even like if there's only like one like breath of oxygen left, like he will still like kill it in that last breath and then run back to his like spaceship and like bounce. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cool. It was a little bit different this one. He's sort of goofy and weird and whatever, and it's nice to see that he's being a little bit more fun. And
it's kind of like the track "Dope Man" by Ice Cube.
Okay,
or
kind
NWA.
NWA.
Only battling like I picture like almost like Roman Coliseum setups, but in space, like good cartoons have taught me from like Futurama and shit.
Yeah.
And just goofy aliens fighting, and then Del the funky Homo sapien, or Deltron, sorry.
Yes.
He's fucking
Deltron
around.
Zero.
Yeah, he's just laying stuff. Because he describes shit like they basically destroy him in the first verse, but he scrapes through, and then it's like he gets stronger and stronger, and I just picture him going like Super Saiyan at the end, and he comes up against the last guy, and he just fucking crushes him. And he just beats everybody. And it's just over, and he gets crowned intergalactic rap battle king type person.
And he squeezes out his opponent's brain. I think that was the last thing.
And I enjoyed the experience of this. I enjoyed the art of storytelling that got conveyed. I enjoyed how goofy it was. And I gave this a fucking 4.
Nice. I gave this one a 4.5 on 5. I mean, it was good. I liked it. It stood out. It was a little bit different. It was more fun. I like that. I noticed like immediately as soon as I heard it, The You Got It from Eric B. and Rakim. Rakim. I never know what to say.
She's always excited to throw in the
But,
rapper's
and then,
point.
yeah, so I'm always excited because, you know, they are supposed to be, like, the most, like, sampled, you know, like, musicians. So it's always fun, like, seeing what, you know, who's sampling them.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought it was cool.
And you?
Nice. I give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really interesting story on how he's just continuously winning and he's just got to go through like any other rap competition and he just takes over. And you know, sometimes even in modern day rap competitions, some people are sore losers and they want to fuck you up and you're just like, I'm going to fight back and kick your ass. So, you know, it was
That sounds like truth right there.
Really cute. Like it was just a cute, truthful story on how rap battles are in the year 3030.
Is I really love the parallels between how his actual rapping gave him like almost powers to battle with. And it was such a fun comparison.
Yeah. But
well, let's talk about a love story.
You know it.
So
Virtual junkies burnt out and lost war. Veterans still trapped in the hall.
So if I understand correctly, Deltron wins 10 grand.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And
then
now
he
he's going
says,
home.
you know what? I don't really feel like doing this anymore. And then he decides to like not go to work. So they fire him and replace him with cheap corporate clones. So like cheesy rap. Like he was authentic. He said, I took one day off, you know, they've replaced him. Then he goes, wait a second, I'm a free agent. So he starts touring and going to fucking places and shit. And like proceeds to like, you know, honestly.
He goes to East Bay.
Yeah, and then like, but like he realizes he has fans and he can actually make money independent off them, right? Is kind of what I meant to say. So instead of just on contests, he now has that fan base, and it's like people. Like I just picture him going to Comic-Cons and shit like that, and getting pictures taken.
Probably, yeah.
And that's what he's banking on.
Which is actually in Montreal
and
this
then
weekend.
As he's doing that, he meets a girl with 3 butt cheeks and basically smashes.
Yeah.
I read something completely different. The annotations on Genius that I read and that I kind of followed was that he did win the 10 grand, but instead of like getting fired, I thought he just decided to go home on go home back to Earth on vacation.
Well, he has like a lyric that says, "I decided not to go to work, and then they fired me, and then I lost my job." And then they replaced me with a corporate clone. Maybe I'm just kind of remembering the sequence of lines here. And then he proceeds on, like this is like, yes, he does go on vacation back to Earth.
Right.
But then he also chooses to not go to work and get fired.
Okay.
And I don't know. I wasn't on this song, but I just realized they never commented on it. Maybe it was this song. Is this the one where he realizes people are going to laugh at him? And because it might not be on this one, but it was really interesting how he was aware enough to like just be aware that people are not going to necessarily perceive this one the way he would like it to. And I think we missed it. I think it was an earlier track, and I can't remember which one.
Yeah,
but
I
wanted
remember,
to
but now
like,
that you've mentioned it, I know.
To like bring it to light at that point, and clearly forgot. But still, I don't know. Love Story was just weird. It was another goofy storytelling type song, like Del's One. But you know what? It's the transition, I think, from the desire to honestly go through the corporate channels to realizing the power of the independence. And it was interesting. Who doesn't want to see a girl with 3 butt cheeks now? Who else is not curious? It makes me think of Total Recall and the 3-titty girl.
That's the reference. That's the reference. But
come on, everybody knows that one.
Yep.
Well, but he's also like reading like Cosmopolitan magazine at one point, and then he sees that everybody's like full of collagen, and it's like, well, that's, you know, everybody's fake and everybody's basically full of plastic, and you know, it's like nobody's true to who they are anymore, and like that's a problem. So I don't know. I thought this one was interesting. It was he calls out like the tourists who like never really seem to know like what's going on. They don't know their history. They just show up and think that, oh, now they know everything because they were there for like, you know, a day, a week or whatever. He talks about that kind of stuff. Because he's from Oakland, and then I think that's when he goes back to East Bay and he's like seeing like who's like showing up and like you know, like what the industry's like there now. But yeah, I like this one. It was more of like a jazzy feel, even with like some like weird, creepy, like modern stuff in it. I give it a 4 on 5.
Okay. Nice. I give it a 3.5 on 5.
Nice. I gave it a 4 on 5.
The beat really grinded my gears after a while. That weird sample that it was kind of the whole way through, flutes or whatever it was, just kind of got to me. Anyway, Memory Loss is the last jam on the album. That's a song.
You try to get over, you're gonna go under.
So this song seems to be a little more about Oakland directly.
Well, at the beginning, and that it's like known for violence, but it's like the birthplace of the Black Panthers, and that he's basically calling out like his people and like his community and saying like, stand up for yourselves, like you can, like, don't forget, like,
where you
come from and who else has come from there, and like what can be achieved, and don't think that just because you're down on your luck and everybody's kind of down on their luck and there's drugs and everyone's poor and stealing and there's lots of crimes and stuff going on in these communities, don't think that you guys can't do better than this.
Yeah, it's more or less the song.
Yeah,
it almost like breaks
don't
the
stereotype.
fourth wall for a second.
Yeah,
it's interesting because it's funny how he went into space and had this whole thing, and now he's back home and he's like kind of realized that since he's been gone, shit has changed, and that he kind of feels that there's been a memory loss on where the heritage is and where the culture is and what's been going on. And it's actually a really cool, big ass metaphor on just what happened, like what has been happening. Where have we kind of shut our eyes and just kind of blindly accepted shit that goes on? It was, I kind of got that feeling from it. I gave this a 5 on 5. I really like the sound. I really like his flow on it. I really like the production, like the producing of the beat. It was just really, really captivating for me. Fucking amazing.
Yeah, this one was a 5 on 5 for sure. It was it felt really real to me. He also kind of talks about, to his people, he says, like, I'm not judging any of you guys. He's like, I know what you guys are doing is like what you have to be doing, but and trust me, like, he talks about like, that the IRS comes after him, and that, he's also getting like fucked over, and like, he's not making all this money, and so he understands what a lot of people are going through and what's going on. And I didn't mention yet that my favorite, like, most exciting part of like this album was that for me was that when I saw the name Sean Lennon on this track, he was being featured in the interlude
in the middle. The singy part.
And so for those of you who don't know, that's John Lennon's son, who he refers to in the song "Beautiful Boy," that he sings, dedicated to him. So it's not just "Hey Jude." There's also "Hey Sean." Sort of. So yeah, anyways, I got excited, and then when I heard him I was like, oh, okay, like that's what he sounds like. I haven't really seen what he does, but he sounds kind of like a less good John, but I still enjoyed it. I'm like, don't hate me.
I don't know, this sounds a 4 to me.
Really?
It felt like it didn't belong almost a bit on this album. Like, if we're watching this movie, I kind of get where Chris is coming from, but there's no, like, closure here. There's no finale here. It's just, like, Deltron wins the rap battle. Deltron goes on vacation, goes independent, meets the 3-butt cheek girl, and now remember where you come from. And I'm like, okay.
Well, I think it's a good message. I mean,
It's not about the message. I mean, all the messages are good. For me, it's just a strange placement. Like, maybe I'm missing something about why this connects it. This is the last song on the album. This is it. This is the end of the story as far as we know. I mean, granted, there's the skit that comes, but it left me feeling a little incomplete. A little like, that's weird. I didn't want Deltron to win and then go bang a girl, and then all of a sudden nothing's really happening left, and that kind of took away a bit for me. But the song was still good. 4 on 5.
Well, I think he leaves a good, like, solid message at the end. He says, praise to the creator, relate to nature. And I think it's interesting. It's sort of, he wants you to go back to what you know, to your history, to religion, to nature, and,
I appreciate all that. It's just, I feel like it was, like, a really let down to the end of this movie.
Okay.
For the movie side of it.
Well, hold on. And I think if I can do this, it kind of plays on with the last skit. How I kind of took it, because I felt the same way a little bit, but then when I heard the last skit, I was like, now I see how it works. Would you want to just go into the last skit?
Yeah, so the Ass Man 640 speaks.
Yeah, 33 seconds.
And it's just the same exact text and words, and our friend Damon Albarn, He's just back. It's distorted.
It's not the exact same exact.
It's distorted. It's cut to a slower tempo slightly.
But the words are a little bit different.
They're virtually the same.
They're virtually they're virtually the same. I took the time to listen to the first track and the last track. I listened to them
back to back. It's more that the effects is the delivery, and there's a chop in the middle at one of the lines.
Well, yeah, it's very scratchy and echoey.
But it's more or less saying the exact same thing, which to me reminded me of Kendrick Lamar's Damn, where it kind of interloped into a repetitive story. Mm-hmm. And then if you know how 1984 ends, spoiler alert, it's a repetitive story. It kind of like almost gave me this sense of futility, like the story's not quite over yet.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of got this like historic lesson in a sense, because with the broken computer now, it's kind of like
what broken computer?
Because it's the same computer from the beginning. It's a monitor. It's a computer monitor that's explaining like.
How about I tell y'all what it is? The Assman 640 is a old recording dictation machine from Germany.
That is in computer science museums. That explains the computer science, electronic history of whatever it is, and the time bank of the exhibition. So here we start off the album with a working computer, and it's like starting off this presentation of the history lesson, and then at the end you get smacked with this like kind of time shift where it's like you've watched this entire like lesson of how shit goes on, but at the same time it's going to repeat itself, because we'll always come back to our roots, and we will always grow to change, and then come back to our roots and then grow to change. And I thought it was really fucking cool how he made it seem like it was like a destroyed computer, like breaking and echoing, and it's that. Like
but I also feel like it's indicating though that more of the story's not over. Like I don't know.
Right,
like,
I can see that.
Like I can see where you're coming from with the computer now. It actually makes sense. Like everything's gone, and now shit's all gone on. But I just feel like the part where it's like the enemy's not done. It's the part where the corporations really have not lost. They are still in charge, and they are still in control. So for everything Deltron's done thus far, he hasn't changed anything, which is really fucking Orwellian.
That is powerful.
Really Orwellian.
That is powerful.
I mean,
that's awesome.
Spoiler alert, that's how 1984 ends. Basically, it's that fucked up. So, like, the futility of it all, and it's interesting. But knowing there's a whole other Deltron 3030 album with some more stories, quite exciting is all I'm trying to say right now. But I gave this shit a 3, this last track. I mean, it's just like, it's an interesting ending, but as a song, it's just that. It's interesting. It's no more exciting or less exciting than the beginning. It's just kind of okay.
All right. I gave this one a 4 on 5. I thought it was unique the way it came like around again. Well, not unique in that sense, but like unique in the sense that they like used this machine, and like again, like a lot of the time, like, you know, going back to the last song, it is like a memory loss. Like we are reflecting, and like, you know, maybe they're in 3030 and they found this, you know, like this machine, and like now they're recording on it, and it's the only way to leave a message about like what's going on in the world then. And, you know, maybe that machine was used for like bad purposes. It's German. I don't know what, you know, maybe it like was used during the war for like recording certain things. I don't know. But yeah, so it was interesting. Like, I don't know the history of it, but I thought I thought it was cool. Nice. Way to end it.
I actually gave this skit a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was a really fucking sick way to end the album. And just to even validate that, you even helped me validate my point some more, because you're like, the corporations are going to come back, the industry's not really going to change. And I didn't even think of that at first, and I was like, wow, like that's just something else to think upon when you end off this amazing album. Just like, we'll be back, like you're just there, like who's coming back? Is it the roots back? Is it the corporations? Is it the like
it says the corporations in the message. It's the people up top. It's like the Umbrella Corp,
and
or
like
some
the
shit
bank
like
or whatever it was as well.
Whoever the evil is in this world. I don't know. I gave this, like, I feel like the album in and of itself is a crazy fucking trip. If you like sci-fi, if you like really geeky shit, science and stuff, and you like dope rhyming and stuff, it's amazing, man. I think that everyone should bump this. Even the non-geeks should bump this, in my opinion. But I only gave it a 3.8 on because some of the skits didn't really do it. I'm certain that if I reevaluated this over time, I might like it more, but I doubt it because it only works as an album. A lot of these songs aren't necessarily shit I'm gonna go bump
Most
on
of it
their
works
own.
as an album.
And there are bangers mixed in, which I happen to really like. But I really feel like this is one of those album experiences, and it's really tight and it's really well rounded. But it's again like a movie almost, and there's a certain degree of like I might not be able to listen to this entire movie over time, over and over again. I would have to space it out and like go revisit it every 6 months because it is kind of like a movie.
Yeah. I gave this one a 3.57 on 5. So that's a 71%. I thought it was a really cool concept. It's very different. It's very unique from, you know, like what a lot of other rappers were doing. And yeah, I thought it stood on its own, but I don't know that for me, like, that I would be like, oh yeah, you should go listen to this. It's a classic. I don't think I would probably listen to it again, but there are some good hits that I may choose to listen to occasionally.
Cool. I actually in total gave this album a 4.3 on 5 because, and I just want to say one thing. After listening to the MF Doom album and seeing that type of creativity, it was really awesome to see Deltron 3030 to actually like create this sci-fi album. And you know what? You're absolutely right with the skits. You can't hold them on there alone. But they put a lot of emphasis on the album to give you that high intense experience.
They progress the story forward.
Yes. So I really I thought this was a classic album. Like straight up, I'm bumping this.
Cool.
All right, so that's this week, and we'll be back next week with another thing. And we haven't picked. Oh, we did pick it. And anyway, we'll tell you later. So like the video.
Surprise.
If you like it, subscribe to the channel. Comment below. Let us know. We always care.
Say hey.
And as you can tell, this was a request episode. Next week's not a request episode, and then we'll find another request in the future, and we'll just keep figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
So until the next time, peace and love and all that shit.
Yes, thank you.
Deltron Zero says what's up.
Thanks, Lindell.